Hello, everyone. I would first like to introduce myself as a new Catholic. So I was baptized last November, baptized, confirmed, and received First Communion. So that was, of course, the happiest day of my life. You can't get any better than that. Maybe if I got married on that day or ordained to the priesthood that day, that might have added a few sacraments, even confession. Luckily, there was no confession that day, but that's quite a bit of sacraments on one day. Three sacraments. So just really, um, these last few months, they've been impacted by that day in particular. Just receiving the Holy Spirit. It's been a really grace filled time. And so I want to share a few stories, I suppose, and hopefully you can learn from them. Hopefully they just don't bore you to death. I think I bore my mother to death by telling her a lot of this a lot of the time, and I really had to make it a habit just to listen more to people. But I'll ramble on for a few seconds. I don't have a script or anything, but I'll let the Holy Spirit do the talking. So, yeah, I was working in a factory when I was baptized, or well, it was the week before that. I was working in a factory, and I worked at that factory for a week, and then I quit. That's what I went to college for the previous 2 years, engineering electronics technology, going for that maintenance degree. And so I never really considered that. I knew that I would enjoy it, or well, I could at least tolerate it, but like I never considered like actually getting out there and working. Like, what would that be like? And so I realized what it was like working in a chaotic, noisy, messy, dark place with people that didn't want to be there. And so it was really just exhausting for me being a person who loves the quiet, a creative person. So those things were just like the worst atmosphere for me. So I told my priest that. It was during the RCIA classes, and he said, well, this monastery down the road might need some more maintenance help. A lot of the monks are getting old. Give them a call. And so, of course, I didn't believe him. I waited 3 weeks after my baptism, and eventually, not having a job, I called him. So I was hired that next week, pretty much hired on the spot. I just walked in there, and then he showed me around. They needed help. It was the Christmas season. There was a lot of fudge and fruitcake to ship out. So, yeah, ever since that, I moved into this apartment, got my own place, moved out of my parents' house. I started to become more active in the local church, going to all the clubs and events I could find, or at least back then in those winter months. And that really led to a lot of things. That's why I'm even recording this video. I've met Suzanne Hall, the executive director of Goodness Reigns. So thanks to Susan for telling me about this opportunity here. Um, yeah, so a lot of that was like just planting seeds. Um, Last Holy Week, my company started to take off. The Catholicism for the Modern World nonprofit organization. Not a nonprofit yet, but it probably will be whenever you watch this. A lot of people started to come in during Holy Week, volunteers. Like I met my vice president. Didn't meet him, wrong choice of words, but he started to help out the company during that time. Like me and him just have been doing a lot of work day in and day out. Then other people come in, more people see the success, they start to come in. So it's been like an exponential effect, just this company. And it's kind of like just the tension, like, oh, this company, you know it's going to be successful. It's like driving a train, like it just goes down the tracks. You know it'll end up at its destination, but you just have to be patient. So that's been the tension, like being patient and still developing humility, because you have to develop humility if like you're gonna have this big company. You can't do it out of pride. You have to do it for the glory of God. And in order to do that, you have to have humility. So yeah, like just like how did I devote my life to God? That's the question. And I didn't think about it beforehand, but hopefully I'll think of it now. So I think reading the gospel, the verse where it says like, don't worry about tomorrow, don't worry about where you'll get your food from, or who will clothe you, shelter you. Like, look at the animals. They have all this great stuff, all they need. They're sustained by the Father. So how much more will God love you, you being a child of God, rather than these mere animals? Um, so yeah, like God recognizes when you give your life to Him. He'll of course test you and He does that to help you grow in humility and faith and in love. Maybe you sin a few times, but through that, hopefully, you learn God's mercy. And yeah, you'll get humbled a few times, but that makes you grow in just love of God. Keep growing in faith, keep growing in love, keep growing in hope. And all of those things put together, they come from a life devoted to God. And really, it's just love is the connecting force. And that's really what I learned, like, after my baptism. Like, after I fell short in sinning, even after my baptism, I was content not to sin ever again. But, of course, that didn't happen. I was too prideful back then, and I was trying to do that on my own. I wasn't devoting my efforts to God. And so that's what happened. I sinned and fell short, but through that I learned God's mercy, truly learned God's mercy. That's still why I keep the Jesus prayer on my desk. Not the Jesus prayer, but the Oh My Jesus prayer. Jesus, I trust in you. So that's very important there. Jesus, I trust in you. And you really develop a personal relationship with God when you devote your life to Christ, because it is Christ you depend on. In life, we often direct our joy or our satisfaction in these temporary, fleeting things. However, we must plant those desires in something that's eternal, so the immovable rock, which is God the Father. And of course, when you build your foundation on God, build your life upon God, that makes a great house. So thank you all for watching this.